sweet marriage. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do a quick slate. Apex Frequency episode 5. Pretty sure. Yeah, it is.
It's like us on every take on Skype. Take 3.
There's takes happening. All right, I'm going to slate. All right.
What's up, dude?
How are you doing?
Hey, man, I am good. I'm happy to be here.
So am I. This is my humble abode.
I love it. I'm so jealous. I want a garage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much longer I'll be here, but I'm definitely. It feels like my last hurrah. I signed the lease again in August, and then from there it'll be a year, and then I feel like something.
Last hurrah, like you might ditch state?
No,
okay.
No, I'm going to be in California.
Don't leave me, man. Please.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely not. Well, listen, I want to hop into it because time is money, and you being here is a real pleasure, and I really thank you for taking the time to meet with me.
Oh yeah.
All right, so how I want to kind of build this is I would like to kind of create the idea that this is a workshop on self-improvement, and that the purpose of this conversation and the purpose of my podcast in general is to facilitate conversations that focus on our specific goals in life. And through those conversations, we can figure out what changes and what adjustments we need to make in order to actually make those dreams come true. With that being said, we fucking made a movie together.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start with that. Let's just start with the fact that you wrote, produced, directed, starred. Let's just start with that.
Man. Well, I think it started when we met working at the restaurant together, and you wore the New York film jacket or something, and we're like, oh shit, okay, we're both into this, and we kind of worked on the little webisode Tall Boys type thing, and then as soon as I started getting going on this film, I was like, there's just not a chance I'm working on it without you. I love working with you, and so yeah, man, we started casting that back in
2021
August maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved casting it with you. I loved the lens that we were looking through, which was, the most important thing was attitude, reliability, commitment, talent, in that order, right? And that's how we saw it, everything. Because you could be talented, and if you're not committed, it didn't matter. Yeah. You could be committed, and if you weren't reliable, it didn't matter. And those things are different to me. And then you could be reliable, and if you show up with a shitty attitude, it just doesn't matter. And so I think that you and I's approach through that lens got us off on a good start.
I agree. One thing that I picked up on really quickly, because we started working together pretty early on in our relationship. You were doing sort of like a web series called Tall Boys, and I was working as the kind of like an assistant, overseeing, adding my input when needed, and kind of just it was, for one, I want to say, like, every time I was on that set in particular, I was just happy to be there. Because I thought that you and your cast were like really funny, and I don't know, like I have like a comedic background, so just being on set, it felt very familiar, and it was really great to watch you guys do your thing.
That was fun.
Yeah, Tall Boys was awesome. When you came to me with Skyfly, which is the name of your movie, it's funny because there was a time when like we weren't really, you kind of moved away from LA, and I didn't see you for like a year or some change, and you got married, and I had told you this, that like when I hadn't heard from you for a while, I got kind of nervous thinking that like, oh man, have we lost Gary? Like
almost.
Yeah, like have we lost Gary to normalcy?
Right.
To like just letting the dream die, because you and I are pretty aligned in like the fact that we actually want to make it in this industry. Like we want to be successful as like filmmakers and like actually be in the shit that we're making. All the like sky's the limit, whole 9 yards kind of thing. So like when that year passed and like I didn't hear from you, like we filmed like one thing together, which was awesome.
That was fun.
I still like that thing that we did. Gym Bros, I think.
Yeah, something
like that.
Gym Day.
Yeah. but we filmed that one thing, and then I didn't hear from you like for a long time. I was like, oh no, because like I recognized the potential in you, and I recognized like, oh, he's got the thing, he's got the drive. On that note, I have wanted to tell you this for a very long time, and I've kind of alluded to it since we wrapped on the film, but I haven't come right out and said it. You coming to me and asking me to help you on your movie did something to me that was so unexpected. I think when people get to LA and they have aspirations of, let's say, quote unquote, making it, they're always looking for like their big break, right? I didn't know at the time, but you gave me my big break. Like in some strange, non like foreseeable way, because like my interpretation or my idea of a big break was like acting and like getting in some studio production and like making $1 million. Like, all right, everyone's gonna know my fucking name. But instead, the opportunity that you gave me was the opportunity to help you produce and also feature heavily in your film. And it created such a feeling of fulfillment and satisfaction out of the roles that you gave me that all of a sudden my entire world changed. My entire perspective on what I was capable of doing and the fact that I was capable of doing it right now instead of like waiting for someone. You know, you gave me that opportunity to see things differently, and I have been moving differently ever since then.
And you kicked ass at it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to touch on the whole part thing too, it's funny because I told you straight up from the get go, I was like, hey, I really want your help to produce this with me and, you know, cast it. And I can guarantee you a speaking role. I don't know why, but this film is so important to me that I want the best person for each role. And you were like, I'm on board, man. That's what's up. I was like, but let's have you read for some parts, like, you know, but my promise to you. So long story short is then you read for Blake, you know, which you ended up playing, which was the main rival. And I just remember being in the casting room like, fuck yes, dude, this guy that is Blake. You had that part so dialed in, and then you just crushed it. You always showed up to set just 1,000% off book, and just you owned that role. And yeah, man, kick ass.
What's really funny about that is, and this is this is just me being completely transparent and honest with you. When you first came to me and you were like, "Hey, would love to get your help co-producing this, and I can promise you a role," and like the roles that you were kind of like floating around were like
Police officer.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, sure, man. All right. Yeah, I got you. And I remember like we're like casting, and I'm having fun like in the casting room, like meeting these new actors, because like casting for me it's a fun time.
It's fun,
you know. Yeah, because like you get to meet new people, and like,
and it's super good as an actor to see how other people audition. Like if you to all you actors out there, if you can cast something, that'll help you a lot. Yeah,
because you get a better perspective as to what you're looking for, you know, and what casting directors are looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say like the first couple of days when we're in the casting, my entire perception or my entire level of investment on the film grew exponentially. Not when you cast me as Blake, but when you gave me the opportunity to read for Blake. I remember thinking that before the opportunity was presented to actually like read for like the main antagonist in the film, I was thinking like, all right, yeah, like if I have time, I'm gonna help Gary. You know, like if you ask me to do something and I have a workload, I got my job, you know, I got other shit going on. So if I have time, I will get to the thing that Gary's asking me to do. And then you like asked me to read for Blake, and I was like, okay. You know, now I'm thinking like, all right, how can we make this movie as good as possible? And then I got cast as Blake, and I was like, okay, all right, let me put my own money into this film, because like I want, like, now instead of like having a stake financially, it was like a stake on, I want this film to be as good as possible because my face is now attached to it.
Yeah.
So it created like a higher level of motivation that occurred inadvertently.
Right.
So like Like,
Well, you just came in with that $1 million huge cocky smile, man, for that character. It was perfect.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
really it worked out really well.
Yeah.
And Jesus.
Yeah.
Question for you. How are things going with it? Like, we went through pre-production.
Yeah, let's do an update.
Yeah.
So this week, yesterday, I locked down our trailer company. Badass, huge trailer house in this town. Super pumped on it. Corey is finishing up color. He's kicking ass on color. It's looking great. We have a guy finishing up next week on our special effects, which is very minor, just like, like when the TVs are on in the room, or a couple times the airplane's on the ground or something, and a couple other little miscellaneous things. Our music supervisor's working hard right now on getting some of our songs cleared and finding a few replacements for a couple of the ones that we're not going to be able to afford. And yeah, so far that's looking great. And once all that's said and done, we'll get back with sound design and retouch up everything, like with the song replacements and just a couple things. And yeah, I'll be working with a poster company in the next week or two as well to get our key art looking great.
Nice.
And what else? Then once everything is wrapped, we're going to work with Bitmax, which is the great aggregator company who gets the films onto Amazon Prime, Apple TV. And our distribution plan right now, as we've spoke about, is we're gearing up to self-distribute, all the while shopping it to get a great deal. I'm so personally invested in this film that it's going to take a decent minimum guarantee from a reputable distributor for us not to self-distribute, and those are kind of far and few between these days. But don't get me wrong, Netflix, Hulu, somebody with comes with a good offer, I'm all ears. But that said, I'm also keeping my head forward and getting ready to self-distribute. So yeah, once we get it uploaded and we can get a release date from them, like knowing that, okay, it will be available on Amazon and Apple TV, say June 15th or whatever, then I can plan the premiere and, launch a fun premiere for everybody, a few weeks before the release or something. So yeah, I guess the update is things are moving. We're just putting all the final pieces together, and hopefully we'll have a late spring, early summer release.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. One question that I know, because, I did say workshop on self-improvement, and we're definitely going to move into that direction. But also, I feel like this is always a great opportunity to provide some insight to individuals that might be watching this or might stumble upon this in the future and have aspirations of making their own movies. First off, I mean, we could spend all day talking about the film, obviously.
Yeah.
Can we go through a quick synopsis as to what the film was about? And
Yep.
Would also love, and I've never even learned this, how we actually financed it.
Yeah.
And when I say we, I mean like,
let's dive into both.
Yeah.
Well, synopsis is it's about an alcoholic skydiver who's afraid to skydive. He's traumatized from his first parachute malfunction, and it's a story of his road to sobriety, his redemption in the sky. Of course, it sounds dramatic. There is dramatic moments, but it's an action comedy. I think good comedy comes from dramatic situations anyways. And, it's an underdog story. And, you're the rival, the antagonist. He has these guys that he feuds with at the drop zone, and they come and they challenge him, because he's not skydiving anymore, and they like kicking his butt. So they challenge him to a hockey tournament. And, in that touch, it's got a little bit of a dodgeball kind of vibe to it, Financing, man, I did what they say don't do. And I am in debt.
But you're so chill.
Yeah. I mean, you got to go all in at some point,
Yeah.
And I'm betting the farm on myself and my team. And I plan to make, hopefully most of it back. And I also, I saved a little bit and I sold some things, but mostly that debt.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm good for it.
Yeah. One thing that I like, I've always admired about you, and honestly, it's what draws me to you, is that you have a high level of self-confidence.
Thanks, man.
And I don't know if you learned this as like a child or something like that. The whole phrase of like never let them see you sweat. But
Never heard that phrase.
Really?
No.
Yeah, because you embody it. you really do. Like, you move through the world. Like when you're on set, you have such a commanding presence, and even outside of set, like you have this energy about you. No, I was like,
That's right.
I know what the fuck I'm doing, you know. So
Yeah,
that's
I think one of the biggest things is you got to believe you can do it. You know, like that's the number one thing. If you don't believe you can do it, then you're shooting yourself in the foot right there. You're dead in the water.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I hear that. I don't think you had mentioned that the film is actually sort of autobiographical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's the easiest thing to write is from personal events.
I agree.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and it was the first feature film that I had written. So I just wrote like that I'd written. So I just like, to start off writing, I just wrote down like anything that's happened to me, funny things, blah, 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 blah. And then it turned out to autobiography. I would never put like inspired by true events at the beginning of the film or anything like that. Cause it's already like narcissistic enough that I did it, when I'm starting it, like, I'm not trying to be that guy. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
No, I get it. Well, I get not wanting to put based on true events in the film, but at the same time, the very first scene is drawn straight out of your life. Like the first scene of you on a car chase.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily a car chase. And I'm not one to give away spoilers, so I'll.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. I got in a high-speed chase back in the day.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And the events of that high-speed chase, or the actual reason, like that's also, straight out of your life.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll touch on that is, the other thing was I think if everybody took their 15 years of their life and condensed it into an hour and a half movie, they could probably make a good movie too. I don't think I'm that special, extraordinary, out of this world, but I've had some things happen and some funny things, and I just condensed it, and I think it makes a good story. It's my story.
Yeah, yeah, and who better to tell it than you?
Yeah.
So that completely resonates, and I honestly have similar aspirations, and I think just applying that logic to anybody who like wants to make a movie, it's like anybody could tell their story if you condense it into like an hour and 30 minutes, and you just have to pick the best parts. So you got the comedy, the drama, the good stuff. Would love to spend a little bit of time talking about the drama, and it kind of would create a great segue. How do I put this? Like I said, the things that have always drawn me to you is, for one, we are quite like-minded. So yeah, maybe let's start with that. While working on the set, we actually worked pretty well together, and I would definitely love to work with you again in the future, just because we have such similar qualities or standards or values within ourselves, which kind of created that wonderful gel. So I would like to take this moment to kind of assess between you and I, like, all right, how can we get better? Like I'm asking you a question, like, how can I get better at the things that that I want to do, and perhaps I can feed it right back to you.
Yeah, well,
we're trying to do this,
I think we work together really well because I think we both have that similar problem solving attitude. Like,
definitely,
we can, let's just go, like, let's do this, let's figure it out. We have that positive I can attitude. You and I were punctual. You know what I mean? We show up on time. If we say we're gonna do something, we do it. And for you, the thing that's always attracted me to you is just that you mean what you say what you mean, and you're reliable, and you're good-hearted, and you're like, the attitude and the reliability is, and you're talented to back it up. And so I'm just like, all right. And I think like you and I, we know we've got one life, one shot at this. Let's go. Let's make it happen. And we believe we can, and we know it's going to be a grind, and we're down for that. What the question was, how could we do it better?
Yeah. I mean, looking back on it, because there's always room for improvement, and if you have any feedback for me as to like what I could have done differently, or if we were to if we were to go into production tomorrow on a new film, what changes or adjustments could I make to the
Well,
approach?
I think the next film, hopefully we have and I believe we will have a much bigger budget. We'll hire a lot of more positions because we were filling in tons of positions.
Wearing a lot of hats.
Wearing a lot of hats, So I think that alone is going to help us. Sorry, what's your question again?
Weaknesses.
Oh, okay.
Room for improvement.
Well, that was the first time you were kind of wearing an AD hat and you didn't even know it. I don't know if we even really discussed that till kind of the end, that you were kind of the AD. So if you're being an AD, maybe it could have been helping me stay a little more on time. Just like with getting, but you did it anytime we needed to wrangle actors, we did it. You were also in charge of all the food, and you did a great job with that.
That was a real pleasure.
You enjoyed that. I know you were it was a social experiment with you for a lot of the snacks and stuff like that. You were really curious. And then didn't you take your car to the mechanic and they ate all of them?
Yeah, that was.
You were help yourself, and they fucking ate half of it.
Not even half of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Lesson learned there.
It's $500.
Yikes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, that's you live and you learn. I hired that taco truck and we didn't use them in time. Yeah. What about me?
The only one that jumps out at me, and honestly, this is kind of more feedback for me, maybe, but pre-production. I think more time could have been spent in pre-production, being more meticulous potentially. But one thing that I'm not even going to call it a regret because I love the entire experience. But I guess if I could do it again, I would have asked to be in the meetings with you and Corey when you were planning the actual shoot dates, because then perhaps I would be able to ask a question that wasn't asked yet. Yeah. And then go oh, well, I see that at the shooting schedule says 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. to film these two scenes, but I see that this one scene is 8 pages. Shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah. So I think, because I remember there were a couple of days where we're filming 9 pages in 3 hours, and we're how are we?
Yeah.
We got it done. We got it done.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be really the one thing. And again, I definitely want to continue working with you, and I would say that moving forward, should we have those opportunities, I would just ask, hey, can I be in the pre-production?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and we will be working again. I'm working on the next script right now, and my plan is, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with Skyfly, but I know worst case, it's going to be one hell of a calling card to get this next one made. And I plan on making this one 5, 10, 15x what we made this one for. So I'm super excited on that.
Hell fucking yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice, man.
Cool.
Dude, just being with you just relives all the good shit.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's get into some of the
more depressing nitty gritty stuff.
The nitty gritty. I was thinking nitty gritty too. All right. Well, with the movie, one of the things that you had mentioned, and we already understand that it's mostly autobiographical. Alcoholic skydiver who is afraid to skydive. Let's just start from there.
Let's start from there.
Yeah, let's just start from there.
Yeah. So I've been battling alcoholism off and on for a long time. It was cute and fun in high school, even low 20s. And, around 22, 23, for me at least, that's when you start getting those 2-day hangovers, yada, yada. It wasn't until I was 29, I ended up in the hospital for the first time from drinking. I was so dehydrated. I needed an IV. It was after Halloween. And I had been sober, 6-7 months here, a couple months here, whatever. But for the most part, everything was on the table. Cocaine, alcohol, you name it. It's there. Let's do it whenever I want, however much I want. And I think it was just because thankfully, other than that, I've been blessed with incredible health. Super thankful. I have shitty teeth, and that's about it, and nothing else. But I'm an alcoholic, and I have an addictive personality, and so I think it was landing in the hospital scared me straight. Thankfully, for a while, which I'll get into, but it was that moment where my body froze up. I think I was having a minor panic attack in there, which I'd never had. I was just so sick. I had to miss work, yada yada yada. And I decided to get sober, and I started reading. That was actually, I don't think I really read until I was 29. So I started reading a lot, and now I'm super into it. And I kind of started studying how the brain works, how your subconscious works. And I didn't do the meetings, but I did it. I got sober, and I stayed sober from alcohol for 5.5 years. And yeah, about the skydiving thing was a little bit before that. I had been jumping for a few years, and I had my first parachute malfunction. And I was jumping, and it was funny. I was jumping with a mutual friend of ours, Chris LaPlume, and I was looking at him, and it was our first jump together. We had never jumped. We'd been going, but you have to have 25 skydives before you can jump with somebody else and pass off all this stuff. And so we're finally jumping together, and I look at him right before we jumped out of the plane, and I go, "You're going to have a malfunction," just trying to be like a bigger brother, like always got to be ready, and that's a good mentality to have. And he's like, "Why would you say that?" I'm like, "You always got to be ready." We jump out, yada, yada, yada. I pull my parachute, and of course, I'm the one that has a malfunction, which is super ironic and funny. The malfunction was you have two toggles when you skydive. One turns left, one turns right. My right one was just gone, and it was a super hard opening, and so I just knew shit was wrong. So right away, I go to my emergency procedures, and I start back to free fall. My second parachute comes out. All is good. And I'm not going to lie, it rocked me, but it was also a timing thing. I had just taken out, speaking of debt, I just got a $10,000 loan that I was going to buy a skydiving rig for, but I was also having a ton of urge to produce and film and get back into that because I really wasn't doing anything with that, and that's what ended up being Tall Boys. And so I ended up using that money to buy camera gear and all that equipment and stuff instead, and really focus on Tall Boys. And then it just 6 months went by, a year went by, and I was just like, at that point I was like, well, I guess I'm not really jumping anymore, and I was just over it. And I think it was about 4 or 5 years until I jumped again. 2020 was my first jump, and I've been jumping again ever since. And so that was the inspiration for that part of the story, the alcoholism and all that. And then to touch more on the alcoholism, it's so weird. I went 5.5 years, and California sober, by the way, just to be clear. I smoke weed when I want, which I know a lot of people like that, but just so I don't catch flack from the AA community. Yeah. California sober. And anyway, 2021, right before we started casting, and I don't know, I have a few theories on what made me drink. Obviously, one is like, after a long time, you kind of wonder, like, am I still an alcoholic? Mm-hmm. Will I still get hungover? Can I do it? Can I be a normal person? And then the other part was I had given up gluten. And I have a theory because even my sister and my aunt, who are gluten-free, said, you'll have withdrawals. Like, crazy shit happens. You've been eating a ton of gluten your whole life. And I was 30 days no gluten, and I was feeling really weird. And I only made it like 30 days. It was really hard. And then also I think I was stressing a little bit. I had started to get into debt for the film, and I was like, wow, this is a big thing. And so whatever it was, I went on a trip to Colorado, and I had my first drink in 5.5 years, which would be the start of a really bad thing for the last year and a half that I've been battling off and on in pretty much all of 2022. So I drank for about a week, and quickly learned, whoa, this is all bad. I'm getting sick again, and it's go time. So I got sober for us to cast and shoot the film. But literally the night after our very last shoot, not the very last shoot, the hockey thing, but a pickup shoot we did with a couple days after, I got fucking wasted again. And I was drinking again for and then it turned into like I was drinking off and on, like maybe a month and a half, sober for a couple months, drinking for like a month or two, sober for a month. And then thankfully, finally, recently, I ended up in the hospital again. And I am back to, I have no doubt in my mind that I'm going to be sober again for a very, very long time. Maybe 5 years down the road, the same thing will happen. I don't know, but I know it's not going to happen anytime soon because I ended up in the emergency room twice in 1 week. I went on a total bender, just drinking, coke, you name it. And I had lost complete control, and I just wasn't eating, and I just could not. Yeah, I was really really sick. So alcoholism is something dear to my heart. My dad was an alcoholic. He was sober for 10 years before he passed away. And it's real, man. And he told me something, and this line's in the film. He said, some people can swim and some can't. You can't swim. Just stay out of the water. And it really is, thankfully it's not that easy, but it is that simple, And so, yeah.
It's not that easy, but it is that simple.
Yeah.
I like that. It's not that easy, but it is that simple.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I wish I wasn't. I love the idea of going out with friends and having drinks and, I don't really do things I'm ashamed of, but I just can't stop. And I get so sick, day, 2 days, 3 days, and I wish I could do it. I just can't. I can't do it anymore. So,
yeah.
But I'm thankful that this happened recently, that I got super sick and I was in the hospital again. And because apparently that's what I needed to just really hit me in the nuts and be like, Gary, you got to stop.
Question. Has the drinking ever gotten in the way of productivity?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I've thought about this many times, that the film would probably be done right now if it wasn't for my drinking, because all of 2022 I was off and on with it. There was 2, 3, 4 months I was sober here and there, but for the most part, drinking, and the productivity is 1,000%. If I'm drinking and I have 1 or 2 beers the next day, I'll probably be all right. 3 or more, and I'm probably not. I get that hungover that easily, and if I'm having 3, I'm probably having 12, and so the productivity is out the window. It's 1,000%. Whatever I had to do the next day, just not happening.
Yeah. So, what's interesting, and the reason I really wanted to talk to you about this is I never really thought that I had an addictive personality. Instead, I just what's the word? I'm an escapist. I've identified as an escapist for most of my life, meaning that I look for opportunities to escape from reality. The methods that I use in the past have been, typically it was sex. For the majority of my life, it was just my go-to was sex. Weed, but I didn't look at it as an addiction. It was just more I know what I'm doing. I'm doing this for a reason. It's a way out of the matrix, so to speak. But recently, right around the time that we were actually making your movie, our movie.
Yeah, I was about to say our movie.
Thank you. Right around the time we were making our movie, I actually developed this sort of eating disorder, if you want to call it that. Yeah. But just to summarize, put as few words to it as possible, I learned about nutrition and caloric deficit. And all right, so that's the crux. Restriction. Learning about restrictive eating and the benefits of it, and how you can produce really amazing results from restricting how much you're eating, what you're eating, yada, yada, yada. And then as a result of consciously restricting yourself from the stuff that you would normally eat ad libitum and not really give a fuck, all of a sudden you find yourself obsessing over the thing that you are not allowing yourself to eat. For me. And I wonder, I'm starting to be much more curious in addictive personality, in the behaviors that are related to it, because I have now found myself in the situation where I'm not free of it, I have a specific goal of hitting an aesthetic look for myself. That's, in order to achieve that look, it requires restriction, and I am constantly fighting against it. And it's something I'm thinking about day in and day out. And I feel my productivity is kind of going to shit because I can't focus on things outside of food. Hence why I asked the question. Because again, going back to the phrase that I said, like, never let them see you sweat. Like, I never see you struggling. You
Right.
know, like you talk
It's
about,
very private on my end.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
love that about you. Like, I mean, not in like a terrible like way, like, but like, I just love individuals who like don't show like their inner struggle. It sounds terrible, but I mean it like,
Yeah.
because, but you know, like I'm like a friend, like if you have a problem, like you can talk
Yeah,
to me.
you've always
Yeah,
told me doors
yeah,
wide open. Yeah.
yeah.
And likewise, yeah.
But then at the same time, I just happen to be attracted to people who are like they're handling their shit.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean like don't come to me with shit.
Yeah, yeah.
You get what I'm saying.
I get it.
You get what
I
I'm
get
saying.
it. I get it.
Totally losing my train of thought. But restrictive personality or restrictive being an issue for me, and bringing it up with you because I understand that with the drinking problem, how you've managed to navigate it. Uh, is it just as simple as, oh, you almost died, so now you don't have to think about it anymore? Because I feel like that's what, like, I would, as weird as it sounds, like I would love for something like that to happen to me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that sometimes it does take, things like that. And that's why a lot of people say, like, don't wait for your rock bottom, like try to do it beforehand. But, sometimes it is, just that's what needs to happen. If you can try to convince yourself before that happens, it might help. But, yeah, for me, at least now, I love being healthy. I love waking up early. I love feeling good. And I'm also, I've also told a lot of my family and friends what happened because I want to be held accountable. And yeah, addiction is, I think with any of us when we're really trying to, be our best selves, because ultimately, to do what we want to do, we got to be our best selves. I think it's, one, back to that thing where first believe you can do it, and then what's holding us back? Is it drinking? Is it smoking weed? Is it something with food? Is it sex? Is it social media? Is it like really analyze yourself? And for me, it's not even a question. It's if I do alcohol, which means if I'm drinking every once in a while, I'm going to do blow. It's just it is what it is. If I'm not drinking, thankfully I don't want to do blow, but if I'm drinking, it's going to happen. So for me, it's no doubt in my mind, guaranteed loss is if I keep drinking and doing blow. It's just guaranteed. I can't win.
So it's like an equation in your head. You understand that alcohol is more of like it's like a representation in your mind of negative experiences, or maybe not even negative experiences, but negative outcome, negative results.
Yeah, and just sickness. And just being sick. And so it's so crazy that now I feel good about it. But like, when I'd be off and on and like I'd have such a terrible sickness and experience. And then the problem is, week, 2 weeks go by, you start feeling good and you just forget about it, and you want to go out there but it's such a temporary solution. It just numbs the pain. It doesn't go away. It doesn't make your problems go away. It makes them worse. They're still there.
Yeah.
For me at least. And, it's a struggle. It's tough, but I feel like I did again 7 years ago, whenever it was that time when I got sober for 5.5 years. I have that same anger now, and I feel really infuriated about what it did to me. And now it's personal and I want to fight back. And now I look at alcohol again like it's a poison, which it is, and I'm allergic, which I am, and that I simply can't have it. Thankfully, I don't want it. But also, and I think too, with anybody else that's out there that's struggling with, alcohol and disease and stuff like that, you need something bigger pulling you, you can't be always pushing through it. Like for us, and me for sure, like I know I want to be a filmmaker, and I just, it is an equation in the sense of, if I want to have financial freedom, I want to be healthy, I want to be balanced and all that, I can't do that other stuff.
I love it. Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. So again, it goes back to that alcohol being sort of an object that represents not the type of life that you want for yourself.
Yeah. I can't be healthy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Another question I have, and perhaps this could just be my problem. one thing that I have been running into is making promises to myself and finding how easy it is to break those promises. And then, like,
Lowers your confidence in yourself with that kind of thing, or
what it does is it ruins the value of making a promise to myself.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And it's,
That's one thing too. When I've been talking with friends and family lately again, because I've been saying I'm getting sober over the last 6 months off and on, or honestly last year and a half since it started. Whenever it was July 2021, it's been and I hate sounding like a broken record. You start to sound like that addict who knows what they need to do, and they just keep talking you into making you think that they're about to get healthy and make a change, and then 2 weeks later, 1 month later, 2 months later, it's back to the same old shit, and then they give you the speech again. Because I've had friends like that, and they drive me insane, and that's why I've been like telling everyone I'm sorry. I fucking hate that I sound like a broken record, but at least this time I know, like this time I'm fucking bet the farm. Like,
right.
I'm sober this time.
Yeah.
Bet the farm.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
So I gotta get in the hospital.
Well, didn't you say you had some complications recently? Was it your
I had appendicitis twice. Probably should have gotten it taken out the second time.
yeah, my dad had that.
Yeah, that would have been.
But was that related with your
I don't
eating, the binging?
Don't know.
And I think you and me are kind of extreme people too. Where like you're able to get a 9-pack because you're hardcore and extreme and have self-discipline. And so at the same token, when you want to binge, no one's going to stop you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing I kind of wanted to touch on. I have, and perhaps you can relate, like I have a very all or nothing personality. I kind of perceive the world in black and white without really a lot of room for gray. So before it got to food for me, it was like I said, sex and weed. On the topic of weed, I wanted to on the topic of sex, like as when I was first introduced to it, I wanted it all the time, just like any hot-blooded American boy.
Yeah. Most of us.
Maybe not even American. Maybe just any hot-blooded, just a guy.
Dudes.
Just wanted to have sex.
Yeah.
And as I continued to get older, it was like I got really preferential, where it's like my way or the highway. If you don't like want to do the shit that I want to do in the bedroom, then I'm not interested in you.
Right.
And it just got like really like kind of like domineering. Like I want to do it this way, right?
Yeah.
And it's evolved from like that to, when it comes to what I can control, so far as my vices are concerned, it's like it's so gluttonous and it's so expansive. So I think something happened with my brain where I'm able to understand like I can control the amount of food that I eat. So let's fucking play with that. Let's see how far we can go. Let's see how far we can go before we get sick. And like that's my way of expressing my all or nothing personality.
Yeah, I can relate with the all or nothing. I know for sure that's part of the reasons why I love alcohol and cocaine. Like apparently I'm an adrenaline junkie. I love motorcycles.
Well,
I love jumping out of
true.
planes. Yeah. And so you can, getting fucking shit faced and doing a bunch of blow, that can get you excited. And so yeah. And then I love that the controlling what you're eating. I've talked to you a couple of times about the fasting. I want to try that. My gut is definitely not what it was when it was 23, and my metabolism slowed down a little bit. And I think I need to remind my stomach who's boss. But my eating habits aren't great. So,
Well, all right. So you said two things that I don't want to forget, the adrenaline junkie. But on the topic of fasting, we got to get back to the adrenaline junkie. But on the topic of fasting, definitely highly recommend it. Perhaps you won't have similar experiences. Like the issue that I'm running into now and the issue that I had all of last year, granted, I did produce appealing results. Like I was able to get down to 7.1% body fat just from fasting and binge eating. But the reason it makes me very uncomfortable is because like I didn't feel like I was in control of my choices. Like I could fast for 2 days and like not eat anything and just drink water. And then when I broke my fast, I have it in my mind like, all right, I'm going to break my fast with some chicken broth. And then I'm going to have a chicken breast. and then I'm gonna have this and that, right? And maybe I'll start off, and then all of a sudden, where did this pizza come from? Where did this 14-inch pizza come from? Where did this like 6 or half dozen of donuts come? Like, how did that get there? That wasn't part of like my plan. And then at the end of the day, I'll have eaten like 7,000 calories. And it's like, okay, well, that was not the plan, and I feel like I failed.
Yeah. You seem so aware of it though. So have you thought of some type of plan to combat this?
I'm working on it now. I'm definitely working on it now. My current plan is to like kind of do like a recalibration, because like I said when I first started talking about it, it's the restriction that creates the issue, where I tell myself I'm only allowed to eat this and this amount of portion and shit like that. So I'm going to probably spend the next week not thinking about restrictions and trying to teach myself like, all right, you're allowed to stop eating when you're full. You know what I mean? And try to make, relatively healthy choices with what you're eating. But the focus of like the next week is like, stop eating when you're full.
Yeah.
I
heard somewhere blind people eat less because they don't see it.
That's deep. I believe it.
I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
I heard they also wrinkle less because they don't stare at them in the mirror.
Damn.
Yeah. I could be making all this up, but it just seems to make sense.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. It does make sense. There's a lot of evidence support, like, not to go off on a tangent, but I just watched, like, for my job, they have me going to like this leadership seminar every month.
Is it cool?
Like, oh, it's really cool. Really
Sounds
cool.
good.
Yeah. Learning a lot. And again, it's just about like character values and shit like that. But they play this one video. It was like a $9,000 budget movie. So perhaps it's something that you could take a look at. I'll send you the link. But anyway, football, high schoolers, and like, hey, do you think we can beat this team? They're really good. And the coach is like, all right, well, do you think you could get from the beginning of this football field doing like a bear walk with this kicker on your back? He's like, I could probably get to 30 yards. And he goes like, all right, well, let's try it. So he puts the player on his knees, and like he starts doing bear walking with like the 160-pound kicker on his back, and he blindfolds him, right? So he's bear walking, and he goes like, all right, you can keep going. I don't want you to know how far you can get, because once you see 30, you'll tell yourself, right? Long story short, he gets to the end zone. So he goes from like one side of the football field to the other. The whole time he's thinking he could only get to 30 yards. So there is something to that, like not knowing creates kind of a different experience.
And that comes back down to the power of the mind, right? Like
absolutely.
The placebo effect, the power of our subconscious, which I'm so obsessed with the subconscious because it never stops working. It believes everything to be true. It does not know, if you're telling it something false, and it governs our lives, and it remembers everything since you were a baby, and it's just this powerhouse.
And that's actually kind of why I've been experiencing frustration. And when I first thought of getting you on here months ago, I didn't know that I would be here having this issue, but like we're here now, and even as I'm talking to you, I've been experiencing heartburn for like this entire conversation because of the amount of cookies I ate last night.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Like,
oh man.
Yes. It's like, dude, what? And it's like the conscious knowledge, like I know that I'm going to get heartburn tomorrow.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. And I'm smarter than this.
Well, I think that just comes back down to self-discipline.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm working on right now myself as well. So what do you think the most common thing is that holds people back? What do you think? Obviously, I mean, it's always something in the mind, right?
Oh man, yeah. All right.
Like from people achieving their goals, and
achieving their goals. All right. Well, I'm gonna say that we're not in that category. I don't think there's anything holding us back. Just period. I think the only thing for us to work on is how we can improve. But I don't think that there's anything beyond our... No, I just don't think that there's anything that holds us back, Yeah. I think we're shooting bullets, and we have a target, and we're just moving towards it. Mm-hmm. After that, the question was, what do I think can or is holding other people back. Fear of failure, fear of getting started, fear of hard work, just a lot of associations with fear. Um, Again, when in relation to you and I don't think we deal with fear.
We're definitely not afraid of failure. I think we're because everybody, you got to be able to fail. Fail
Yeah.
forward, right?
Yeah, I
And learn.
actually like the experience of failing at this
Yeah, you
point.
learn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we definitely don't mind getting started, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I
Mm-hmm.
feel you on that. Um,
I think that a lot of people, and I'm just relating to the individuals in my life that I have worked with that have expressed aspirations similar to ours, being filmmakers, having success in that world or that realm, and them just not really doing anything to kind of make it happen. Uh, it's too difficult. It's,
Excuses.
yeah, it's saturated. And it is
Right.
saturated, but there's sort of like a level of blind ignorance that's required,
Sure.
or like optimism at least.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know it's saturated, but
Yeah.
who cares?
I remember talking to you once too about acting in general, and you're like, I know it's a lottery, but it's a lottery I'm willing to play. And that was
Yeah,
kind of cool. I like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing when it comes to success in anything. Um, you got real world success, and yeah, real world success looks like, for me, it looks like millions and millions and millions, if not billions. That's what
Real
real
huge.
world success looks like for me. But internal success is also something
Yeah. More important.
entirely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's far more important.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about internal success is you can experience that every fucking day.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need to like win some award that someone else gives you in
Yeah.
order to experience the type of success that makes you
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel it's such a balance of, it's so like the best way I can put it is it's like your pen's right here, right? And I'm about to describe one thing right here and one thing right here. This side is I'm super content. I'm super thankful. I'm super blessed. I have everything I need. I am present. I am all that good stuff that we have to be, right? While at the same exact time, I am fucking disappointed. I am unhappy. I am mad. I am angry. I want that. I want to get up there. I want to provide for all those around me. I want to do this, that. And you got to be like right in the middle, and because you have to be both sides.
Yeah.
And I haven't what is it? Clocked the code? I haven't cracked the code. I haven't cracked the code, but I do know, for me at least, I try to wake up, I pray, I visualize, and I'm super thankful and I'm blessed. And personally, something that helps me a lot is I write things down all the time that make me happy. These are a few of my favorite things, and then I don't feel
Yeah.
so bad. That's me all the time. Even as I'm driving, I'm writing things that make me happy. And, and I'm trying to feel blessed, but I'm not happy and I'm not content.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I have that kind of going on in my head often too, and I like to take walks, and it's funny in moments of like walking around this neighborhood or like going to grab a coffee or something like that, I'll be like, I got the angry music in my head, whether I'm listening to music or not, but like I'm just like, oh, I'm trying to kill this shit,
Yeah.
and then someone will say, nice weather we're having, huh? And I'll be like, yeah, it's really nice. And it's always like so surprising because I don't even, in my head, I'm thinking like, yo, I'm thinking violent, aggressive, like thoughts.
Yeah.
And then when I hear myself speak and interact with someone else, it's like, oh my God, I'm coming off extremely nice. It's
Yeah.
wasn't expected.
Yeah.
So
That's what.
yeah, it's funny how that works, and I'm grateful for that because like I've never wanted to be the guy where gotta like wear that shit. Being aggressive in your head is great. Let's hop back to Adrenaline Junkie. Question that I'm having or is formulating is do you, understanding that you are an adrenaline junkie and type of things that you like doing, skydiving, motorcycle, I feel like being on a motorcycle and actually driving one is probably the one thing I can't ever imagine myself doing.
Really?
Yeah, that's because I'm not a great driver.
Okay.
Yeah. So, taking it up a notch to being on a motorcycle, especially like, nah, I just
Yeah.
don't see it ever happening.
Okay.
But anyway, uh, do you find that separate from like alcohol and cocaine, or like when you do one thing that stimulates the brain in a certain way, does it make you think of other things that stimulate the brain in the same way?
Yeah, I think the alcohol and drugs is just something that somebody like me can fall into. One, because it's in my blood, it's generic or whatever,
Genetic, yeah.
genetic.
Mm-hmm.
But two, that yeah, and I've just I've never really associated myself like as an adrenaline junkie. But if you describe it, I guess I definitely am. I like I like doing fun shit, and I like getting my blood going and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know that I how to relate them other than I guess I'm just a person that likes to get some. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I like
Hell
to,
yeah.
I like to get out there. I like to feel the
That's
power.
that's the name of your film company,
Yeah,
right?
get
Get
some.
some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I like to get some. I like
Yeah.
to get out there, and I want to feel the power. I want to go fast. I want to get my blood going.
Okay. Because the reason I'm asking is, do you find like I understand that the your most recent stint with alcohol got you wound up in the hospital, and now you're a lot more clear headed and you're able to kind of keep that away from you because
Hmm.
it almost killed you, and it's very definitive. um, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is healthy alternatives, like any event that, let's say, 5 years down the line, something were to happen again where stress is building up and it's been a long time since you drank and you're starting to think like, oh, it has been a while, I wonder if I'm still good. Is there like a different thing that you can do?
That's the toolbox. Those are the tools that I need to learn. Yeah,
Okay.
and that's I am considering trying meetings, and I have a lot of close family and friends that have been sober for 10 years, 5 years, whatever, and I'm starting to talk with them more to try to get more tools in my toolbox. But I think it's definitely I need to nip it in the butt before I get to the point of no return because a lot of people have said, why didn't you call me? And unfortunately, once my mind's made up, like there's no one's gonna fucking
Same.
stop me.
Same, man.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I am currently trying to work on trying to put a few more tools. And one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a 110 tattoo on my wrist right here in green. All my tattoos are in black. I'm going to put it right here on my wrist in green and probably something here where it's backwards and I see it in the mirror because I don't like being just 100%. I like being 110%. You know what I mean? I like waking up early in the morning. I like being able to exercise, play baseball, whatever it is. So that's one thing I'm planning on because I've tried things like that. I got this necklace before this last bender, and I thought this was going to help. Wearing it around my neck, was going to be a reminder, and so yeah, I think the tattoo might be a good help. But it's tough to say because in 5 years from now, it's really easy for me right now. The wound is still super fresh, and so I think the long answer is I just have to keep reminding myself why I'm sober and how much more I can get done and hopefully look back at that point and see some accomplishments, and just know that drinking is just not, it's going to fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Going to fuck everything up.
Yeah, it's weird for me cuz like even take when we did the movie together, this is back in 2021. Prior to we went into production November, and we basically filmed from all of November to the first week or second week of December. Um, Leading up to filming on in November, I was like what you would call, according to Andrew Huberman, who's a neuroscientist, I was a chronic weed smoker.
Right.
Yeah, and a chronic weed smoker is anyone who smokes weed more than twice a week.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So I was a chronic weed smoker leading up to November in 2021. I stopped smoking because I felt that I wanted to be at the top of my game for the production.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of hats and there was a lot of things that were happening on the fly that I wanted to be mentally clear for. Some people can smoke weed every day and operate quite fine.
Right.
I'm just not one of those people.
Same.
Yeah, like when I smoke weed, I get like foggy, sluggish.
I'm out. I'm out of the
Yeah,
fight.
yeah. I don't want to do shit. I
Yeah.
just want to fucking
Yeah.
watch the movie or
Play some
something.
guitar,
Yeah.
watch a movie. Yeah.
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 So I committed myself to not smoking weed while we were in production. Then, and again, like this is,
I did same too, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But and like this is why this is the shit that I want to talk to you about. It's like it's the why, and like I need help finding out the why. Like once production wrapped and we weren't filming anymore, what did I do that first night?
Got ripped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But why? If I already understood that, like I was like getting up earlier,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I guess the deed was done. Okay, you're like production's done. That's normal. I mean, a lot of people celebrate. Go
Yeah.
back to the things. Well, are you smoking a lot now, or?
not. I keep in mind that Huberman podcast because I think he's a cool dude, and like he's not passing judgment on anybody, but then at the same time, I do think like chronic weed smoker is a person who smokes twice a week.
Really. And like you said, weed is crazy because some people can wake up and smoke and do
Function
anything
throughout the entire day.
anything they
Bet
want
you
to
Rihanna
do.
does.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then others, they get rocked by it.
know.
I personally recently switched to a drink, and edibles used to fuck me up, and like worse than shrooms. Like I'd be under the table, but I found these little sip drinks, and now I'll do like little, no, not huge doses, pretty much every night now, just to relax and unwind. And I'm loving it.
When I do smoke, it's always at the end of the night.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah, like I'm not smoking before 10. It's like the
10. I've been asleep for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You're a late night guy.
Yeah. And I'm also changing that habit. I mean, see, like, don't get me wrong. Like there are changes that I'm making in my life to become more productive because that's the one thing that I'm.
Well, some people are night owl productive. Some people do their best work at night. It just depends what your schedule is, who you are.
Yeah, it's all this science shit that I've been consuming. Science shit.
Science?
Like, yeah, like. I mean, sort of like the purpose of my podcast is to talk about like optimizing human functionality.
Yeah.
So in an effort to do that, I'm like paying attention, like what are the actual experts saying on optimizing human functionality? And what the experts are saying is like focus on your circadian rhythm.
What is that?
The internal clock in your body. So we are supposed to, like in general, humans are supposed to rise with the sun and set when the sun, like we're supposed to go to bed when the sun goes down and get up.
Wow.
Yeah, we're supposed to.
Wow.
That's how we're set. Like that's like our bodies are set with the.
I feel like that's a lot of time in bed, though. Isn't that that's not like 8 hours, right?
Well, not necessarily go to sleep when the sun goes down, but like you want to get 8 hours.
Right.
So if the sun rises at like 6 or 7, that's the time that you want to be getting up, and then you want to adjust your day to allow for yourself to get 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
So that you can get up when the sun gets up.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, shit like that. I've always been like a night person. I don't like getting up in the morning. But once I got that little nugget of information, I have changed that habit where this morning I was up at 7:30. On average, ever since for like the past 6 months or something like that, I've been getting up at like 7. Normally I like to get up at 10. So little adjustments here and there in order to, again, optimize my functionality. But there's still resistance to it. And like, that's the thing that I'm currently struggling with is like, where is this resistance coming from? Why does it even exist? If you understand like weed slows you down, why are you smoking weed?
Right.
You know what I mean? If you understand that like eating 6,000 calories is going to make you fatter than you want to be, why are you eating the 6,000 calories? Mm-hmm. It's not enough to just say I like it. Right. Or is it?
Power of habit too. Habit is a crazy thing. Yeah. I have a fun idea. Because you're talking about power of optimizing our best selves or making, I can't phrase it exactly the way you did, but let's each say like in our world what we see as our perfect kind of day, things that we do within a day to make ourselves optimized.
Okay, I love it.
And for me, it starts off going to bed at a decent hour, getting my 7 to 8 hours of sleep, getting up early, releasing the toxins, taking a shower, I try to not eat right away. And then I like to stretch, and I like to visualize in the morning and kind of see where I want to be in 5, 10 years, and then also that day, the next few months. I do something I call FPS, which is file prioritize schedule, and it's because I'm always writing notes on my phone, paper, whatever. And at least once a week, and on a big degree, and definitely on a small degree every day, what I do is I put them on my computer in the files that they go, and then I schedule and prioritize them. And that's a big part of me to my next step, which is TCOB. Sometimes it's TCOBADMF, which is take care of business all day, motherfucker. And so that TCOB to me means what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. And that is that's anything from fucking whatever, just shit that needs to get done. And of course, I'm trying to work on a healthier diet. So I try to have like a lighter lunch, a pretty simple breakfast. I drink a shit ton of water. Unfortunately, I can't have caffeine. It really sucks. I'll have a tiny bit here and there. And for the most part, I end up regretting it. And I wish I could. So part of my diet is things to stay away from as well, like alcohol and things like that. Drink a ton of water. And then POMP, which is pursuit of my purpose. Make sure that every day I'm doing something towards what I believe to be my purpose. And, filmmaking is a part of that. But ultimately I want to help, give, uplift, inspire, lead, and make the world a better place, and so for me, a good day where I'm optimizing myself is all those things that I've mentioned. I'm getting some exercise in, so some type of physical activity, even if it's just a 15-minute walk. I've realized I need to get outdoors and get a little sun, get some fresh air, and move. And the sun part is something a little new to me. My dad passed away from melanoma, which was skin cancer. And so I've always, since then, I think subconsciously been a little bit of a guy that stays away from the sun. So I know that the sun is good for you. And so for me, yeah, that, and another part of it is make the calls. Sometimes you don't call somebody. Why? If there's something telling you to call them, call them. Make your emails, and text a few people telling them, how you love them. And for me, I think with those things, and as long as, and I pretty much separate everything into 4 categories. It's health, career, recreation, and helping people. And so if I can kind of chip away at all that, I feel like I'm kind of optimizing myself.
Wow. That's beautiful. Dude, I fucking, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And it's not picture perfect every day, but I keep those things written up on my whiteboard to help try to remind me in my house. And yeah, man.
It's funny.
Play some guitar.
Hell yeah. What's interesting listening to you just like break it down. It's like, oh, that's how you were able to make a movie. You know what I mean?
Take it to smaller chunks.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. You got to zoom out and then get real small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, to anybody watching or listening to this, it's like, it wasn't easy to actually plan and sit down and put a movie together. You know what I mean?
Hardest thing I've ever done and continue to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. Yeah.
And hearing how your ideal day goes, like, that's exactly what was required.
Yeah.
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 Beautiful.
Nice,
Beautiful.
Man.
Yeah. Great exercise. All right, I'll do mine. Definitely not going to be as, and honestly, that's food for thought. Cool. Great day, ideal, optimized functionality, human potential day. Starting the day at 7. This morning I actually meditated for 30 minutes, cool. Which is probably a practice I'm going to start back up again, just because I have been spiraling with my habits. So let's say starting the day at 7, I've really gotten into cold showers. Showering, taking like a 3-minute cold shower at the end, not really getting anything in my body or besides water, getting water into my body pretty quickly, having my first or my only cup of coffee probably at around 9:30 a.m. Start consuming calories at around like 10 o'clock, 10:30 a.m. which would be like protein or like a carbohydrate oatmeal or something like that. I would ideally like to start my day job priorities at around 8:30 a.m. My dream is to be able to work smoothly from like, let's say 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. on my day job, allow for an hour and 30 minutes for physical activity in the form of exercise, weight training, what have you. So at around like 6 o'clock, the exercise is done, focusing on my nutrition throughout the day, and it's like 3 to 4 meals throughout the day with like the right portions of carbohydrates, right portions of proteins and fats. There's just fats get in there. They just get in there. But yeah, 4 meals a day at most, all the good stuff. Around 6 o'clock, that's probably when my last meal is over after my workout. And then from, let's say, 7 o'clock to 10:30, that's my opportunity to get my creative endeavors completed. My creative endeavors consist of editing podcasts, putting together the next episode. I'm actually going to be working on a film project with my partner Christina in the coming months. So that's going to be like my next big thing to sink my teeth into. So a lot of attention, focus, and energy is going to be going into that, and that would be the time, like 7:30 or 7 to 10:30 p.m. to really hone in on that, and then also allowing time to grow my business, because I do have aspirations of being self-employed beyond just leaving my job and becoming a successful filmmaker. I also want to set up a health and wellness consulting service where I'm able to meet with people online or, over the phone and help them achieve their specific goals related to health and wellness, fitness, nutrition, and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, the only reason that we're not, and we certainly can, but the reason that we're not spending as much time on, because you've mentioned a couple times, dieting and how you want to get in better shape. And the only reason I don't even feel that comfortable about broaching that topic is because of the struggle that I'm experiencing over the past week. I do have the knowledge, but what I have experienced this past week is there's something not fully aligned with me, but
You're
yeah,
aware of it. Yeah, sometimes that happens,
yeah,
Just,
yeah. But yeah, that's.
I know you got the knowledge though. I do need to, doesn't have to be here, but one of these days I need to start picking your brain more and trying to get some more nutrition knowledge.
I'm probably 48 hours away from just fucking being back in it.
Yeah.
Just fucking let's fucking go.
Yeah.
So
you're so aware of yourself though. I'm about 48 hours from being
Oh
back
yeah.
in it.
I'm super self-aware.
Well, my problem too with the whole nutrition thing is I'm just a convenience guy. And I just, I don't really cook much.
So am I.
I don't. Yeah. So I just.
I don't cook either.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of.
Happen?
Yeah. I'll just give you a couple ones. Couple. Throw it at you.
Yeah.
Grab and goes Waba Grill is fantastic. They're all over the place.
Okay.
All over the place. Waba Grill. You can go in, get a chicken bowl with brown rice, veggies, and chicken. Boom. Call it a day.
Okay.
And that is 720 calories. If you were to eat 3 of those throughout the day, not saying that you have to, but you would really basically be getting all your macros and all of the nutrition that you need for that day. Just 3 of those bowls.
Waba.
Granted, it racks up, So again, the
Racks
more
up.
so far as food cost.
Oh, is it expensive? Whataburger?
No, but I guess when it comes to convenience and food, the more convenient something is, and the more consistently you go with the convenient route, the more expensive it becomes.
Well, I need to cut back on my door dashing.
Yeah, exactly. Convenience. So there you go. If you were to drive to Waba Grill, it's cheaper than having Waba Grill brought to you.
Right.
And then if you were to go to the grocery store and get the same ingredients that Waba Grill is putting in these bowls, such as brown rice, chicken breast, and veggies,
right,
then that's cheaper than going to Waba Grill.
If you get a chicken, it's cheaper.
Yeah. Exactly. exactly. So convenience definitely creates a higher cost.
Right.
But I'm an extremely convenient guy. One thing I like to do is go to Whole Foods, and they have cooked chicken breast. They have cooked chicken. They have cooked salmon. They have cooked steak. So those are the things I go to for protein. And then for carbohydrates, you can also go to Whole Foods for that. But you can just get like cup of Minute Maid rice. That's a quick carbohydrate. Potatoes are quick carbs that you can just put in the microwave. Sweet potatoes, fantastic. But yeah, I guess the general piece of advice that if you were to take away anything, the less ingredients in your food, the easier it is to like just focus on like what you're actually getting.
Right.
You know, as opposed to like fucking, I don't know, like what do you typically eat on like a day?
Oh man. Well, my breakfast is generally like I'll make eggs, bacon, toast with some fruit, maybe some fresh orange juice, and like maybe some turkey with it. Just a real American basic
Love it.
breakfast. Yeah, I love that. Love breakfast. And then lunch is usually sushi.
Sushi's great. Love sushi.
Yeah, maybe like a bowl somewhere, like a chicken bowl, like you're saying, or something like that, or a sandwich. I'm usually pretty good. Dinner is usually when I fuck up. Yeah, dinner is like where I get bad, and I'll do the pasta or maybe some fast food or In and Out, or a lot of times I'll do like fajitas and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm good and I'll do like some better Brazilian food and something like that. But yeah, that's an average day for me. Would be that type of breakfast, maybe some sushi or a sandwich or a bowl for lunch, and then for dinner, there's really no, it could be anything. Pizza,
Okay.
who knows?
Okay. Well, I think the first thing that you might want to do is come up with like more of a specific goal, and then through that you would start asking questions on what needs to change in order to achieve that goal.
Right.
So like let's say, just for fun, hypothetical, let's say you wanted to lose 15 pounds, right? And like that's the goal. Like I want to see this scale say 15 pounds lighter. That's the goal. Question is, how do we get there? Number of different ways. What's most comfortable for you is the question. So one option is cut out one of those meals. So if you're eating 3 times a day and you just outlined the things that you are eating on a pretty much consistent basis, breakfast, you're eating the same thing, lunch, you're eating around the same thing, and then dinner, it could be anything. Cut out one of those fucking meals. Or that's just one option.
Yeah, and that's something I have considered, and that'd be great because one, I would save money, and it would be better for my gut. But when I do attempt slowly at things like that, I start to get kind of lightheaded and low blood sugar. But I imagine I just have to fight through that, and eventually I'd get used to it, right?
Yeah. I've been fasting. I've incorporated the strategy of fasting into my life for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And when I first started fasting, I would get lightheaded. I would get headaches. And this is back in 2021, before we started working on the movie. But I experienced like feelings of what you described.
Yeah, I remember you had those packet drinks.
Yes. But yeah, lightheaded, all that stuff. And then over time, I don't get lightheaded anymore until like day 3. But that's because it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
I've been fasting for 2 years now. So another cool hack, if you do want to commit to fasting, is electrolytes. So if you do start feeling lightheaded, just get like an electrolyte packet. Like my favorite brand is LMNT. Put that into your water, drink that, and that should kind of...
Maybe I'll do that now and start trying to skip lunch a little bit. Or even just a smaller lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was the other thing I was going to say. So there's 3 things that you can control when it comes to losing weight. How much you eat, when you're eating, and what you're eating. So one of those 3 things is going to have to be controlled in order to achieve, if it be weight loss results.
Yeah.
So it's like how much you're eating. You could be eating the same windows, so like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, half those portions.
Right.
Boom, weight loss occurs. You know what I mean? Or you could be when you eat. So it's like, all right, you're no longer eating dinner. You're only eating breakfast and lunch, but no dinner. Weight loss occurs. Right? Then the final one is what you're eating. So you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're eating the same portions that you have been eating, but instead of like for dinner, you're eating like pasta, you're eating like a big ass salad.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
of course.
Yeah, those are the things that you really get to play with, and you get to like mix and match, and everyone has like different. It doesn't like what works for you doesn't work for everyone else.
Right.
And yeah.
The other thing I'm curious about too, and I kind of almost want to go either order one or go to a doctor or something, get like a food allergy test because I feel healthy, I feel pretty good, my metabolism, I feel it's all right, but it all kind of goes to the gut, you know, and kind of stay. And I almost wonder if there's something I'm eating that I'm allergic to.
Maybe.
I wonder.
Yeah. I would do a fast.
Yeah, I need to fast.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been on in my notes, and I look at it from time to time, and I just go, and it's never a good time. You know, I'm like, well, I've got this the next day, and how am I going to feel? I've got this that day. How am I going to feel? And I need to just do it.
Yeah.
What were the electrolyte packs called?
LMNT.
LMNT.
Yeah. This what we're recording is going to go up pretty soon. I'm
Okay.
like, yeah. Like, yeah. So. But LMNT.
Yeah, but I want to because I definitely want to start trying to fast and do less.
Yeah,
food,
yeah, because you'll get used to it. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's an adjustment. But one, you're saving money because you're not eating,
which is dope.
And two, it does provide a reset. You know,
yeah. And there's clarity when you fast too, right? Isn't there like a lot of bonuses?
Yeah, no, I personally love fasting. I just hate what it's become. Because of my habits of last year, where it's like when I break a fast, it's like, all right, I get to eat again, you know, and like,
so just got to be careful with what you eat and how you do it after or something, right?
Breaking a fast can be more important than the actual fast. Right. How you break a fast is it's vital.
That's good to know. Yeah, you got to ease into it healthy.
Yeah, yeah, because otherwise it's like, well, what'd you do the fast for?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but cool, man. Well, I feel like we covered a lot of different topics.
Call me back, man.
Yeah, because like I'm thinking like when I go back and look at this, like it's like, oh, we could have gone further here.
Yeah.
But like, I'm happy.
It.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, man.
Yeah.
We got into I was as honest as I could be. We got into the weeds. Yeah.
Good stuff,
Dope,
man.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about you, bro.
Yeah,
I love
bro.
you, and I'm so stoked for our future, and I'm stoked on this podcast, and let's keep making moves.
Hell yeah, get some.
Get some, baby.
Get some.
Let's go.
All right, bro. Hell yeah.
Buddy. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.
Get some. That was fun, man.
Hell yeah.
We got into it.